I definitely think we're going to go stiffer. We'll get you on the launch monitor and fit you up.
Okay.
But I definitely think it's going to be a lot stiffer than that. It's no doubt going to be stiff, if not extra stiff for you.
Yeah.
You're generating a lot of power. And I guess we'll translate right into the next thing. One of the main things I saw in your swing was that you have a bit of a sway. Okay, so as you're moving, right, the body's doing a lot of lateral movement this way. Great pass, and the result is what we would expect. Yep.
That little leak left, but it felt a lot better off the face.
Sure.
It was a little higher, you know, which was good, which was
Yep.
always what I'm looking for. So
The next thing that I think I would suggest for you, Dave, and this is obviously golf related, but it's going to be away from the golf course. Something that could help you from a fitness aspect.
yeah,
Okay. As you're generating more power, it's important to understand how strong you really are.
yeah,
Okay, and I think I mentioned it before, as we get you into this stable posture here, okay, as opposed to that sway, you're going to generate some more power, okay? And given that extra power, okay, you're going to need more stabilization. So if you get to the gym, okay, I know you like to work out,
Yep.
all right, stability with the legs. Anything you can do that's going to strengthen and stabilize your legs, particularly that front leg. So for you, it's that right leg, because as you get into this position here and start to drive forward, the thing that catches that power is that left leg. If the left leg can stay stable, that'll allow the body to rotate and transition the power to the golf ball.
Right.
But what's going to happen is, as we're generating that more power, okay, if that left leg isn't stable enough, it's going to give. As soon as you start downward, that's going to give inevitably, okay? And that's where some strength and conditioning on the legs, okay, can really help stabilize that body from the waist down, and that's going to even help you out here with that rotation. So that's something a little bit away from the golf course that you can work on, but I know it would make a huge difference for you as well going forward. Okay.
you know, because I feel like I still just swing too hard.
Sure. That's a perfect 7 o'clock shot right there.
good.
Like, you're right at 7 o'clock there, perfect follow through. And ultimately, one of the goals with the clock method that's going to help you find some consistency with it is, one, obviously hitting the right spot. Right? We're trying to hit the right spot. If we're aiming for 7, we want to hit 7. The next, though, is keeping the tempo consistent. Okay, because varying the tempo is going to vary, obviously, your club head speed and spin rate. So now we're talking about the shots going different distances. So if we can smooth out that tempo and maintain a consistent tempo, we'll be able to start gauging some of those distances a little bit better. So right now, if we're sticking with that yellow target there, we're going to try to repeat that 7 o'clock swing, okay? Perfect. And you can see your ball flight is now, you know, you're going to put that ball within a, 3 to 5 yard range now. Good. Those are a little long, but they're consistent. So you've seen that. So maybe just shorten up a touch. Okay. That's a good solid step forward. We don't have to worry as much about that. We can definitely start to hone in on the distance control a little bit. Okay. Now, one thing that I'd like to talk to you about, Dave, is your game management. Okay, and we're going to talk about a lot of this going forward.
Okay.
We'll talk about it off the tee, selecting the proper shots and things like that. But as we start to get now into these closer shots, all right, when we start talking about landing the golf ball on the green, I want you to get a little more into it mentally as far as preparation and planning each shot out.
Okay.
Okay, so really now we're going to start talking about two things. We're going to start talking about picking a landing spot. Okay, so no matter where we are, what we're doing with our short game, we're picking a spot we want to land that golf ball. Okay, and that might be the size of this pool right here, but that's what we're aiming for. Okay, so no matter what distance we're hitting, we're picking a spot. And the second thing I want you to think about is what's going to happen when the ball hits that spot. Okay, is that spot a downhill? Is it uphill? Is it pretty flat? And when it rolls 10 feet, is it going to break left? Is it going to break right? So really starting to really dissect the golf course and and take from the golf course what it's going to give you. Okay, shot selection wise, when we start talking about club selection, we're going to start talking about really honing in on your shots. Okay, so what we need to think about is, obviously, like I said, we're going to be aiming for a spot, and that's going to be controlled by that clock method and working on our gap control. But the next really is about trajectory control. Okay, is the shot coming in high? Is it coming in with a mid trajectory? Is it coming in low? All right, and that's something that I really like to start to hone in with you because I feel like once you marry those two things together,
Yeah.
you've really developed a strong short game.
Yeah.
And you've really given yourself a lot of options. So when you do get to 60 yards, you can take all three of your wedges and say, okay, well, I know that it might be an 8 o'clock shot with my 56. It might be a 7:30 shot with my 50. And if I want to hit my pitching wedge, you know, it might be even just 6:30.
Yeah.
And those are going to give you three different trajectories, but they're going to give you all the same yardage. Okay.
And what I could do. Oh, this one's bad.
Yeah. Got nice and aggressive on it, which is good. You're hitting down, which is what we want to be doing, obviously, when we're trying to get the golf ball up in the air. Do you like to open up your stance?
I always have. I
Okay.
don't know why. I think it just is something. I think my old pro on my old course did it.
Okay.
And I was just like, that looks pretty cool. It kind of makes sense in my mind. I don't know why you're doing it, but let's just do it. And,
All right.
And from anything from 80 and in, I usually have a little
Slightly
bit of
open
an open
stance.
stance. I think it helps me kind of just get through it.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's important for comfort, and that's certainly not abnormal for people to be opening the stance.
Yeah.
Okay, what you want to understand is what's happening when you do open the stance. Okay, as I turn my body away from my target line, okay, which is exactly what you're doing, right? We're opening up the body from the target line. It's important that we stay consistent with how we're striking the golf ball. So as I do that, I want to leave the club face facing towards the target, right? That's very important. If I close that club face down and I hit it where my feet are, obviously we've got some issues with that, okay? But when I do this and when I open up, I'm adding loft to the golf club, and that's important to understand. Okay, so as you want to hit the ball in the air more, you can open up your stance a little more. It's going to add a little loft to the golf club, which is exactly what I was doing, right? When I open up the stance, swing across that ball a little bit, you get that higher, softer ball flight.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I close my stance down more, right, that gives me the ability to compress it, keep the hands in front a little more, and that gives you that lower trajectory shot, right? So you can start to play with that stance a little bit. You don't always have to be open. Okay? If you close it down a little bit, it's going to be easier to hit that lower shot. And when you do open it up, it'll give you the feel to hit the higher shot.